Hey guys, in today's video I want to show you how you can deploy serverless application, and as an example we are going to create a simple ASCII art generator and deploy that on Google Cloud Functions, which is one of the serverless products from Google Cloud. The program we are going to deploy is going to be written in Python. It's very simple, and I also uploaded that to GitHub, so later on you can just copy the code if you want to do the deployment yourself. But first, from the console, let's navigate to Cloud Functions and let's try to create our first function. So for that I'm going to click create function, and as you can see at the beginning the program is checking if all APIs has been enabled, and they haven't because I haven't created function in this particular project previously, right? So let's click enable APIs and give it a minute to finish. Alright, finally the APIs are activated, so we can navigate to create function again, and let's give it some meaningful name. In my case it's going to be hello ASCII. I will leave the environment and region as default ones, trigger HTTP as well, but change the authentication to allow also unauthenticated people. Let's require HTTPS, and as you can see on the screen, we already see what's going to be our trigger URL. Next section gives us some additional configuration settings. In the runtime, let's change the memory allocated to 128 megabytes. We can change the timeout, auto-scaling, or service account. I will leave this as default. We also have a section for build, connections, security, and image repo, but in our simple example I will leave it with default values. There's also an option to add a runtime environment parameter if we need any, not in my case, so let's navigate to the next step. Here we've got our inline editor where we can code our program. Let me change the runtime environment for Python 3.11. As you could see, there are also multiple different languages available. Let me navigate to GitHub. I have created a special repository serverless examples with folder called ASCII art. There is a README document that explains in details what's going on, but let's look at the main.py. That's going to be our program for today. First I'm going to import some libraries, then I've got my function hello ASCII with a docstring explaining how it works. In this function I check if there is an argument called message. If there is, message will be assigned the value of the argument. If not, message will be just hello. I also call the escape method on message, just to make it a bit more secure, and then the magic happens with text to art, which is from art library. This method will transform our message to a very nice ASCII art graphic on the screen. Now we have to present it to the user, so that's what's going on in line 26, and I use some HTML tag pre to make it print in the pre-formatted way. Okay, so let's copy the whole source code and paste it to our inline editor. Once the code is pasted, we also have to update the entry point, since our function is not called hello world, rather hello ASCII. And let's navigate to requirements.txt to add art library, which is external library that is being used by my program. Alright, that seems about it. Let's deploy the function. Normally it takes a couple of minutes, but I will fast forward the video a little bit so you don't have to wait. Once the function is deployed, we are going to be able to use the URL trigger to test it. After about a minute, we see our hello ASCII function is deployed. The status is active. So if I navigate to trigger, I've got my hello ASCII trigger, and when I click on it, I should see a hello message in ASCII art, and that's exactly what we expected. If you want to play with it, if I go back to our source code in the line 25, you can see there is a font parameter. You can change the font to a different one, just check the documentation of art library. Let's also verify the custom messages. So in this case, I'm going to add a parameter to my URL with message equals text, and it works like a charm, which is awesome. And let's try with awesome as well. And that works also perfectly fine. All right, super. So I think that's a good place to finish. It's a very short, instant tutorial to show you how simple it is to deploy serverless application using Cloud Functions. Let me also quickly show you how you can delete such function if you don't need it anymore. It's very simple. Under actions, there is option delete, or once you select, you should see option also at the top. And if you navigate back to my GitHub repository, you are going to find a detailed description of how the function could be deployed, for example, from command line interface as well. Link, of course, in the description of this video. In the GitHub repository in requirements, you can see that I specifically selected version for art library. That's the best practice. Okay, so thank you for watching and check out my channel for other tutorials related to cloud in general.